Live first, then. Okay.
All right, we're going live. Hey, we're live. All right.
We're live. Okay. I'm trying my new background here really quick. There we go. Okay. That's on purpose. It's a request from my wife to blur out the background in the house and stuff. So I thought I'd pick something that was kind of goofy, but you know,
Hey, why not? It's not every day you see that as somebody's background, so cool.
Yeah. So how about that? So a few weeks ago, I came across this video from Aron Ra, and that's how you pronounce his name, Aron. He is a very prolific atheist on YouTube and a Satanist, and he took a list of the Texas Republican agenda and went through some of the major points on there as to how screwed up it was in terms of, you know, who they discriminate against and just some of their rules and thoughts and policies and creeds and whatnot. And I messaged Casey and I sent this to him, and I said, this is a great topic for a video for you guys because this covers so much ground, and actually, you know, almost each point in the document that was gone over could be an episode of its own. And so I wanted you guys to kind of drive through this and just like pick out the ones you wanted to discuss that were the ones that drive you the most batty, and then we could all deliberate over them and just have a conversation.
Sure, why not? Let's see.
And I thought it, like, you're right. Like every one of those points that he touched on in that episode he did, which by the way should be in the description on this video. It could totally be a full Kitchen Sink Microscopy episode.
Right.
But when I was watching that, I started to like get this thought experiment in my head that it's so easy to create a conspiracy theory that I think we should kind of do that.
Conspiracy theory, really?
Yeah, create our own conspiracy theory right here live, like being recorded, because it won't matter. Once the conspiracy theory gets so far, anyone that unearths this video will just say they want you to think that. They staged that episode of Kitchen Sink Microscopy.
Or the powers that be, you know, want to squish that. They don't want us talking about that. All you have to do is suggest that. You know, birds aren't real.
They're not real.
That alone would be a good episode.
Oh, you got a little
damn it.
But
got a signal issue.
Yeah. I will be max headroom. Drink Coke. Hopefully I don't disappear.
Come on, Eric. He's frozen.
Eric looks frozen.
Yeah. My daughter looks frozen.
That's weird. I thought it was my fault. Well, that's interesting.
You can ping him and he can rejoin or something.
Yeah, well, he's the one that's running it.
He's gone. Okay.
I'm the host now. Okay. Well, anyway. Why don't I kind of like lay out this idea I had real quick?
Yeah.
It's just a little three-parter. I thought, what if the Republicans created this COVID-19 pandemic to drive people to their cause and then take over, you know, because it's crippled economy, which has made people desperate.
And you have people like Jim Jordan screaming, "Oh, the economy sucks right now," but they're not doing a damn thing about it.
Yeah, and then they take the opportunity to spread propaganda about how the current structure of the government is trying to overbear us, and we need freedom from that, when, you know, as Aron Ra was pointing out, like, you know, they don't always walk the walk, right? You know, everything that they're supposed to be all about, you know, like freedom and stuff like that, is actually more authoritarian. Like, so I feel like that kind of leads them to the third and final tier, where they can use all that desperation that they've created, and all the propaganda that can then direct all that, like, vitriol toward the other team, right? And wipe them out. Like, there would be no more blue. It would just be a red United States. Well, probably not even united at that point, but
There's a little bit of feedback, by the way, with your stream. So
feedback. Like audio? Are you hearing me?
yeah, like I can hear me through your. I can hear you, but I hear me through you also with a delay. It's really weird.
Oh, wow.
And then when you speak, it goes through as a feedback loop, and it's kind of odd. So I don't know if you want headphones or if I should grab some.
That's never happened before.
I'll tell you what, let me go grab some headphones really quick, just in case.
This is the first time we've had technical difficulties on a live stream. That's annoying. If anyone would like to be our producer, just go ahead and leave your name in the comments there. All right. Well, Eric is in a connecting cycle. I think it's Zoom, because it was downloading a bunch of updates when we started it. Goddamn Zoom. I think it's Zoom, because it was downloading a bunch of updates when we started it. That feedback's still happening. You know what? It's when we started it. I guess we'll just have to stop the stream. I don't know what's happening here. It's when we started it. I guess we'll just have to stop the stream. I think we can restart it. Hopefully. I guess we'll just have to stop the stream. Stop the stream.
All right. Okay, I think we're back.
All right.
Oh, I gotta stop this thing. This is like,
yeah, there's some weird ass feedback going on.
Yeah, something strange is happening there. Okay, so we're good there. Okay.
Okay. Can I invite? Yes.
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right. I'll get Randy back on here.
Okay. Well, you know, it wouldn't be a
this,
live,
folks. The Republicans don't want us talking.
Certainly. Well, when I said birds aren't real, I guess that was it. Oh shit! I said it again.
Damn it!
Oh no. Yeah.
Birds are real. Birds are really actual birds, real dinosaurs.
Yep. Well, that entire thing was meant as a joke anyway. Yeah. Let's see. So I think we are good there. Where were we?
Well, I think I managed to get like the little three-tier explanation out of
I didn't get that, and that's
right.
kind of integral for this conversation.
You were
that
like lost in that like spinning circle or no square from Superman 2 or whatever. You were like,
yeah. Okay, we got Randy back, I think. So
all right.
let's see. If somebody I'm just wondering if we're actually live right now, or if it says live here. I think we're I still have the option to end the stream, so I think we're still connected. So
I just joined in and it said it was live.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
well, says it up there too. We're on the air.
Let me take a quick peek just to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, we are streaming. Okay, good. All right. Now we know what we're doing.
Yeah. Well,
real Mickey Mouse operation.
It was forces beyond our control, though. It's like shit just started glitching out.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Hey, but we're back.
It's the Republicrats.
It's Ted Cruz.
Yeah. Okay. So we just have confirmation that we're up.
All right. So
okay. So where were we?
Well, Eric was lost in the ether. So I will repeat real quick the 3-tier Republican plan to take over the USA. Choke out the world economy with COVID-19. Instilling desperation and political divisiveness before making their platform deceivingly attractive at the same time by employing number 2. Create a pandemic to ferry an anti-vaccine agenda. Propaganda launch, seeking to channel the desperation and turn it into a concerted attack over those that domineer over us. The radical left boogeyman. And then finally, number 3, they've fed this desperation the weapon of the chum of the left. And now
be chumps of the left.
Yeah, they're basically going to try to kind of mow over the opposition and move toward a more authoritarian government style, which, I mean, face it, anyone who looks at their platform, not even just in Texas, it's super authoritarian, which is so ironic because all the supporters are like freedom.
So I mean, I'm a little bit out of the loop as far as like policies and stuff like that. But I mean, is this like the official, like, is this laid out as you stated it?
There's a document actually I sent to Casey. I'm thinking he maybe sent that to you, but there's a document from the Republican Party of Texas that
possible I forgot
sparked this.
Yes, you did. I'm like, again, in the dark.
You gotta read it. It's insane.
Yeah, I mean, like there was that point he made, Aron Ra, about how they all went to vote on adding in God language, right? And okay, first of all, this is really stupid how they vote. They're in this giant hall and they're like, we need a 2/3 majority. Who's in favor? And then everyone's like, aye, and it's this cacophony. And they're like scientifically deciding whether or not that's like 2/3 of the people. But anyway, they weren't able to get like the cacophonous roar to be obviously one side or the other, and yet they passed it anyway. And they just crammed God like right into the crevice there.
Sounds like typical political mumbo jumbo bullshit. Yeah. I mean, so I'm guessing that, Casey, what you had read is like you're paraphrasing or kind of like that isn't.
I'm not trying to figure out like data. I'm not going to be able to replay the chunk of the episode exactly.
Well, no, but I mean, like, is this the like official stance, or is this kind of like a translation of what you perceive to be based on this platform? Because it does sound kind of, I mean, manufacturing COVID like that, you know, and making that and this and you know,
I didn't say they made COVID,
okay,
but used COVID. You see, I firmly believe, you know, the research shows that it's something that evolved naturally, and that still doesn't change its impact on society, which that you can ride the wave of. You see what I mean?
Sure. As the saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. You know, everybody is gonna jump on that and do their thing. You know,
there's one point in the document, number 250, item number G, which says we reject any government mandated treatment, vaccination, or use of controlled substances of any kind as part of their whole campaign, policy, creed, whatever the heck you want to call it. And that's just one of just a few that go very much against, you know, everything else that, you know, we would normally do as normal people in society. And it says one of the other items is abortion is not healthcare. And Texas public schools have a duty to inform parents they can opt out of CDC recommended vaccinations for their children. And that's just the start. I mean, that's like, you know, towards the bottom of the document. But I mean, this thing is loaded with all kinds of crazy, insane rules that, you know, whether you're libertarian, left or right, or whether you're, you know, left wing, right wing, centrist, whatever, there is so much stuff in this document from Texas. You should really sit down and watch the Aron Ra video, you know, and spend some time with that, because he goes through the major points, but there are so many minor points on this that are just absolutely incredible. Like, you know, it even starts off with, you know, a preamble that's like affirming our belief in God. We still hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that all that they are endowed by their creator, which certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
well, it's basically like the Declaration of Independence, right? It's just stating the same
pretty
stuff.
Much, yeah. But still, you know, freedom of religion, like, okay, God, okay, right? I'm an atheist. I don't know about you guys, but, you know,
agnostic.
Agnostic. Okay, great. I thought this country was founded on the freedom of religion, which also can mean the freedom from religion.
Sure. And now, okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. When somebody says God, they could potentially be referring to the generic term, but like the generic God, like your God, whoever your God is, whatever your God is, whatever you believe in, believe you in something or nothing.
There's a lean to that though. And on one of the few things that I side with feminism on as like a stark stance from one angle, is the concept of using the word man to mean everyone, even the women. You know, it's that ambiguity. And when you say God could mean anything, well, it's like, yeah, but you're still saying God. You know, you're still kind of pushing it to one side or the other.
Well, and okay, and maybe we need to add some stuff to language. I was actually just having a conversation this weekend about how we probably need to modify some of our terminology and stuff to.
We should all just speak German
or Russian, but
I'll dress up,
or Esperanto. But
Shatner can speak that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why am I not surprised?
I don't remember what I was going for. I had a point.
Devil's advocate.
It was beyond that. Having
About
to do
God
with
and man.
and man, yeah, like, and terminology. Like, okay, we probably need some better words for that, but you know, people just use words not really thinking about their meaning, because to them it means something to them, and they think, oh well, this is universally understood, and like I think we should probably have some new words and phrases, I guess, to accommodate that.
Yeah, I have the same problem at home. I make a statement with my wife or make a comment and I mean one thing and the words come out and they're interpreted differently, and it's not her fault, it's not my fault, it's just, I should have picked better words.
Well, and also English as a language is kind of difficult to be clear when you're talking about something, and it's very easy to misinterpret what somebody says because you know, like the way English works, it's
right. But beyond that, like the thing that language can't really touch is that cultural difference too. Like, Randy, your wife is from Japan, yes?
But the Japanese language is very clear about certain words and meanings and everything. So, in English, there's 3 different ways to say, different words. And in German, there's 16 ways to say "the." So, and when I say something, my brain, goes to, wherever it's going to be at the moment and says, XYZ, and XYZ may come out as ABC to somebody else because of the words that I chose to use. So that whole preamble thing in this document should, totally be rewritten, and, regardless of whether or not they want to say God, which, could be any God, could be Allah, could be,
right.
Abraham's God, could be, some mountain god in the Hindus or whatever. But, regardless of whatever, shouldn't we be talking about, us as a society and as a people rather than man?
Well, yeah. And the thing about it is, Aron Ra kind of touches on this, it may seem silly from the outside to be squabbling over words like God being in a piece of paper, right? But what you see is, he pointed out, we used to try to crowbar in that this nation is a Judeo-Christian nation.
Right. Yeah.
And now they've dropped the Judeo because they've got enough power that they can start excluding more people and more people.
And now Republicans are becoming anti-Semitic.
Yeah. So what you see is
we have a comment. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Link to the document.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good idea.
I would much rather read the document itself than listen to somebody's interpretation of said document. Although, I do respect that guy.
Yeah. He does show clips of the actual words.
Yeah, he goes through the whole thing, and I've got it on my screen. I mean, if you guys want, I can share it if you want that. But I
well,
thought
it's okay.
I think drive a little bit. So
I think we can keep this a little more broad, and I'd like to get back into the whole conspiracy idea too, because that could be kind of fun and interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think we kind of digressed on my point that COVID-19 can be 100% natural and they can still ride the wave, using it as kind of a tool to crowbar in a lot of controversial agendas.
And from my perspective, I saw all sides doing that. Like everybody was using this as absolutely. A way to do things they would never be able to do.
But we're trying to create a conspiracy theory.
Well, that's true.
And specifically. Okay. So it's like, yes, everybody does this in politics, but I think this is you know, if you're reporting on chess moves, right, you're focusing on one side at a time. You're not saying, well, they're all playing chess. Yeah.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, well, it's a game of chess being played, and here are the moves that everybody's playing, taking turns. In this case, it's concurrent moves. But yeah. I mean, it's an interesting concept that there's a conspiracy behind it. I think politicians generally have it in their toolbox, just like stuff waiting for the right moment to utilize a particular scenario to do a thing they want to do. Look at 9/11 is a good example. The Patriot Act and Homeland Security and stuff like that. Like, government has been wanting to do that for more than half a century before that happened. The total information awareness and stuff like that program, like, there's all kinds of dark secret things going on that they wanted to do but couldn't because, well, you can't get public support for that. But a couple thousand people die because some planes crash into buildings, and now all of a sudden everybody's like, yes, do it, do these things, we want to be safe. And they're able to ram through stuff that, honestly, like, I'm surprised that it keeps getting re-upped, because it's like, looking at it, how is this shit legit? Like, who
because they all want it that way.
Well, yeah,
it asserts more dominance over us.
It's about control. They want control over everything, and it's worse than like places like the flag behind me, North Korea. They want ultimate control over everything. They want the money, and they want to keep the rest of us poor.
Perception,
and they want to keep their 1% rich, and they want to stay in power, and so they gerrymander and they do the things that they do to stay in power.
Don't get me started on gerrymandering, but I think your choice of flag as a background is appropriate. A lot of people think the U.S. is super free country and stuff, and it's like, I look at it and it's like, I can't see much of a difference between North Korea and North America, honestly.
I agree with that.
Okay, there's some things, but one of my coworkers recently visited Vietnam, and he was talking about how the like daily freedoms were so much more than we have in the US. I mean, everything is cheap there. You can vape wherever you want. You can easily run a business. People ride bicycles everywhere, and traffic just flows. Like, society works. Like, we're this idea that, like, in the future the US is going to be a totalitarian regime. No, it's already here, bitches.
Right.
Like, it's already here. If you don't realize it by now, we
saw what North Korea did, and we said, oh, that's where everybody starts calling that crazy. Well, we'll just go right up to the edge of that, because we're still allowed to leave the country and see the outside world, but it is very, very focused in one direction or another as far as, like, the narrative goes.
Well, until Republicans close the borders.
Not only that, but it's like, now that I'm in a long distance relationship, I'm starting to notice it's way more expensive to fly out of this country than it is to fly in. Well, why would that be?
And that's the thing. It's like, okay, we're totally free as far as visiting a place, but if you want to renounce your citizenship and go to another country and be a citizen of another place, well, that's a very lengthy and expensive process. Like, the fact that it costs money to leave this country, a lot of money, and a huge amount of paperwork. The same coworker, he's trying to get a visa for this girl in Vietnam so she can come live with him for a while. Dude, the amount of paperwork he had to fill out, and now he's like, okay, the paperwork's in. He had to even pull up, like, his criminal record from the past and stuff, and list everything and all that stuff, and
Oh yeah,
all kinds of stuff. And
been there, done that.
Now it's a waiting game. Now he has to wait for like a year and a half for them to maybe allow this person in. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, why? We're citizens of the planet. We should be able to just go wherever, whenever. Like, I don't need anybody's fucking permission to travel.
This country was founded on immigration, and I went through that in 2004 with my wife, with her visa, and having to pay several thousands of dollars and do paperwork up the wazoo and do several trips back and forth from the US and get things notarized and have my parents sign off because I wasn't currently working in the US, and it was just an absolute disaster.
That reminds me, I've been meaning to ask you, why aren't you just living in Japan?
She wants to live here.
Why?
Look at my face.
I guess it's better than some places.
Not Japan. I mean,
it depends. It depends.
I mean, I've never been to Japan, so I don't know.
She wants to live here. Over there, they have universal health care, and I could live together with my mother-in-law and have universal health care and have a decent job and public transportation
and that's the thing. It's like it's personal, like for each individual, what we consider to be important. Like for me, I guess one of the things that's nice about the US, for all of its faults, well, I can have a wall of guns. That's kind of cool. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Not in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really care so much about the travel side of things and stuff, and the insurance and medical stuff, but some people do. Everybody's different, and that's where it's like I don't think we can like point to any given place and say, well, this place is superior to another, because everybody wants something different. Some people like pineapple on pizza. Some people think it's heresy, like.
Do you want to live in Texas?
Well, it's cheap to live there. Well, in some places.
Some places, yeah.
Yeah, some places.
Cheap to live some places in Washington.
I honestly,
I wouldn't want to live there.
I would much rather live like south of the equator, South America, Africa, something like that. Some of those places, as long as it's near the water, because boat life. I'm not about to live on land.
Wherever you want to live, it should just be like an agreed upon thing globally. If somebody wants to come live here, great.
I agree. I totally agree. I do not understand this whole like people fearing people coming from other countries and other places. Like, these people are bringing their ideas, their culture into this country. And I mean, this is like Randy, you had said, I mean, this country was built on that.
Yeah.
The US is like Babylon 5 or something like that. It like everybody comes here and they put their own stuff in here. It's like why there's like a Taco Bell and an Italian restaurant and a teriyaki place on every street corner. And it's great. Like, it's a good thing. And people build this place. Like, more people is good. Like,
yeah, having restricted borders seen from an economic standpoint is like having every business just letting them be a monopoly. Like, we're the only people that supply anything. Plumbing.
Yeah, but
plumbing, you have to come here if you want good plumbing.
Yeah, but the people
like
who
if you
power,
want any one particular huge thing, you pretty much have to pick the country you live in, but it's not that easy. So just make it that easy and you start to get competition. Oh, hey, everybody wants to cram into England. What is England doing that's so attractive? Like we don't have any competition to live in any one particular place because we just say we want warm bodies. You have to live here.
But those white people who are in power, and sorry, I don't mean to sound racist, but those white
It
people
does
who are
sound
in
a bit, but
government,
that's okay.
you know, they want to keep the money to themselves and keep the monopolies and let all the rest of us basically suffer, and they want to make the money off of us.
Yeah.
No,
paying
you're
for our
right.
services.
And I think maybe you want a conspiracy. I would say the whole this propaganda around immigration and the others, people coming from other places and stuff like that.
We're all others.
Well, we are, but that reinforces that kind of thing. And all it does, it doesn't make you safer. It just gives more control to the powers that be. That like, okay. I'm about to go off on a tangent, but yeah, like,
I mean, that plays into the conspiracy theory idea, and it's awesome that we kitchen sink microscopy this conspiracy together, turning our show into a verb. Because like that's what you have to do to control large groups, is start by controlling the smaller ones until you can put all the puzzle pieces together and have a pretty mighty brute force. Like one giant Trump fan United States of America.
And one thing you have to do too, to be able to control vast quantities of people, I don't want to open my playbook necessarily and divulge everything, but if you want to control a lot of people, one really critical thing is to pick an enemy, pick the bad guy, and highlight them and make people concerned about the bad guy, like
those radical Democrats.
Well, and that's exactly what Hitler did in Germany, in the 30s and stuff. Like, oh, it's the Jews, it's these people and those people, the intellectuals and stuff. They're the problem. This is exactly why the economy is so shit right now. And when you can get people convinced that an identifiable group of individuals are the problem, well, now you can control them.
What if this
like
goes all the way back to Hitler?
Well, even like Jim Jordan and Ted Cruz, all they do is scream all day long on Twitter, like, hey, those Dems are doing all this bad stuff, and those radical Dems, and the Dems are screwing up the economy and whatever. But they're not doing a damn thing to fix it.
That's a good point. Like, if you identify a problem, you should have a solution. That only makes sense. Now,
a final solution.
Yes. I would like us to avoid doing the same thing by pointing at another team in this game. I mean, it really is. It's a game. Let's be honest here.
Another team is just one person who's rallied people behind them. When I just said a moment ago, what if this all goes back to Hitler? Think about it. That whole idea that there was a master race and it started to crumble and fall around them, all they had to do was build up another force like that with the same tactics, all the propaganda and stuff. Like it's history repeating itself, quite literally.
Can I interject something about that really quick for a moment? I recently had an exchange with a now former friend on Facebook who used to be a coworker of mine. And what had happened was one coworker asked me to post a picture or asked everybody to post a picture on Facebook of their most scariest Halloween costume. So I posted a picture of me in my black uniform, which we're not going to talk about right now. And anyways, one person in particular who I'm talking about right now, who was my former coworker and also now former Facebook friend, totally went batshit crazy after I posted that on there, and took my picture and posted that across Facebook, across multiple posts and things, and just totally blew it up. all on
Oh.
account of all of the propaganda that was done up about World War II, that, wearing that kind of a uniform makes me a Nazi, even though I'm so far left. I make him look like Hoover. And uh, he just went absolutely insane with it. And so I had to block him. And I also reported his posts as harassment for taking my pictures and reposting them as propaganda. But the point I'm trying to make is that propaganda was so good from way back then about how evil things are, that uniform actually wasn't a camp guard or anything evil. It was a simple, low echelon party member with nothing going on. It was a very basic costume that was in design just to be something basic and simple from that era, to represent, that type of uniform, rather than a persona like Heydrich or Himmler or somebody else.
And if you're talking about what is the scariest costume, I would imagine that's pretty scary.
That might be kind of
a lot of people. Yeah.
And the really craziest part is that if you take a look at the SS, there's two parts of it. There was the political SS, and then there was the combat SS. And on the combat side, if you get past like the 5th or 6th division, if you go through the Battle of Order, a lot of them were actually recruits from different countries that weren't from Germany. Take a look online. I'm not kidding you on this. France, Amsterdam, Poland, Hungary, Cossacks, Norway, etc.
We did the same thing. We recruited from other countries' armies.
And this guy just couldn't put it past him that, I posted a picture online of me being dressed up like this.
Well, here's the thing too. Like, this is what bugs me about that. Is here in the US, we have Civil War reenactments. People dress up as the North or the South, and they recreate scenes and stuff. And nobody thinks like, oh, if you're wearing the gray outfit, like, oh, you must be like a slave owner or something like that. No, they're like, oh, this is part of our history. Like, yeah, it's totally okay. But you don something from 50, 60 years later. I can't quite remember. My math is bad. Then all of a sudden, that's a huge problem. I don't get it. Like, we should be remembering these things, and acting stuff out and recreating scenes is completely fine. Like,
here's the problem I have with tradition is that it romanticizes hanging on to the old ways. But there's nothing wrong in itself with hanging on to the old ways if the old ways were a good thing, a positive thing, a constructive thing, right?
Well, I think it's
a tradition. But the bad shit, there is absolutely no reason you need to like religiously worship the past when it comes to this shit.
Yes, I agree. Like, don't worship, but it's important to remember.
Yeah,
we need to remember these things, and I think recreations of scenarios and things like that, it's important because when you're far removed from a time period, it's difficult to imagine what things were like. So I think it's fair. Like the same thing with the Civil War reenactment kind of stuff. Like, yeah, we got to remember that because we don't want that to happen again. Can we the same thing with World War II and World War I? Can we just like not have that happen again?
Right. Yeah.
If we keep reminding people,
I don't, romanticize or dream that, hey, I wish I was there, as a camp guard at Auschwitz or something like that. Absolutely, hell not. That's not who I am. The reason I collect uniforms is simply for hobby purposes, just like with the Star Trek uniforms and whatever else. It's just it's a fun thing, and it's kind of neat as a piece of history. And you're not going to catch me down at Fred Meyer's going shopping wearing one of these damn things out because I know better. I'm not going to go out and fend a bunch
objectively speaking, the tailorship that went into Nazi uniforms was actually, attractive.
Well, it was actually kind of sexy, but that's a different story.
Okay, so I will concede that Nazis did have really nice uniforms. Yeah.
Hugo Boss.
Maybe here's the thing. We as human beings don't have to be like them, but hey, there's some lessons to be learned from good tailorship. I mean, just looking at the Russo-Ukraine war, like I can see that the Ukrainian soldiers have way more awesome kit than the Russians. Everything's better. And this, we don't know. I mean, it's still ongoing, so we don't know how things are going to be in the future. We might be talking about this in the same context, decades from now.
Yeah, I'm sure, because like I said with North Korea and even our own country, I think we're taking people who fucked up in the past and trying to emulate it just shy of where people had enough. Because there are parallels, but we also build Hitler as this cult of personality that, depending on your particular perspective, shines as a guiding beacon towards awesomeness, or as like a huge red flag, like anything associated with that must be evil. And it's so polarized,
exactly. And I think that's kind of ridiculous, because you can on one hand accept the fact that there were a lot of atrocities that happened, but you can also be like, hey, they had really cool guns and fucking sexy uniforms.
Well, all that shit is like inconsequential when you think about like the medical advances that came from the horrors of millions of people dying in terrible ways.
And that's something,
but you cannot change the past. And so like we all have reaped the benefits of dead Jews, to be quite blunt.
Yeah, and I mean, as harsh as that is, it is a fact. You're right. Like that we
and I don't
be
say
where
that
we are
to
today.
Justify anything.
No,
it's if something bad already happened and you can pick something up out of the ashes and preserve it or use it for good, do that. Like, the bad has been done. You can't undo it. Try to do better.
Well, that is engineering. That's what happens. Oh,
and why
so
can't we do it with politics?
Huh?
Right.
What's that?
Why can't we do it with politics?
Yeah, that's a good, very good point. Okay, so we have another comment. Where are the Nazi reenactments?
That's a good point.
There are units across the world. So there are some in the United States. There's probably more than you would like to know about in Idaho, but they happen in the UK, actually in Europe, France, Germany. Believe it or not, in Germany there are some, even though it's illegal to wear the swastika. There are a lot here. There's some in Canada. Do a Google search, and you can probably just like type in World War II German reenactment unit, and you'll find a whole list of units that reenact. And these are people who are from all walks of life, even Asians actually, who are interested in reenacting the battles, or at least the kits, the uniforms of the era. They're mostly non-political, except for Idaho. But you will also find them from time to time at like air shows and military history events, doing demonstrations of showing, what the uniforms were like and the equipment, driving tanks and rebuilding vehicles and that kind of stuff.
Okay,
And
I'm totally all about driving tanks. Yes.
You know what? I would be interested to see even the non-political ones in several different countries, because they're all going to have a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really interesting to see a World War II reenactment from a country that wasn't even involved.
there is a cafe in Indonesia, and if you want, I can put the comment on the thing later on. It's like a Nazi cafe where everybody's dressed up as World War II soldiers from Germany, and they're all Indonesian, and they serve coffee.
Huh. Like, what if World War II was just all about coffee? Wouldn't that be awesome? Nobody's shooting at each other. They're just
That's
like,
where
who
we're
can make the
demonetized.
best coffee? Oh.
Thought it was about oil and land and resources and anyways.
Nope,
What were we
it's
supposed
all
to be
about
talking
coffee.
about Texas?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting that Texas went to Nazis.
It's because I'm here.
Says the guy with the North Korean flag pet.
Hey, I'm all over the map. What the hell?
I saw like a meme recently that was talking about North Korea and posed the question like about all the missile launches that landed in the ocean and stuff. And it's like, is North Korea,
Attacking Atlantis?
Yeah. Are they being threatening, or are they actually keeping Godzilla at bay?
Did you know that North Korea has a higher successful launch rate than Elon Musk?
Well, I mean, they've been at it a bit longer, so I guess, yeah.
No, I mean that shows you the media propaganda, right? Because I haven't really heard that much about fails from Elon Musk.
I would
every single story out of North Korea is like, yeah, look at their shitty little missile. It didn't even get off the ground.
I would say citation needed in that, but I mean, I guess I could see it.
Every time you turn on the news, Elon Musk launches a rocket and it crashed, or it crash landed, or it blew up or something like that. Whereas, Jeff Bezos, his dick rockets keep going up and up and up because they look like dicks.
Dick rockets.
That's my Twitter, by the way, right now. Dick Rockets Incorporated. Communist Ted Cruz got killed about 2 weeks ago.
Hey, if you want to fuck the world, you might as well go with the engineering that's always fucked everything else.
Yeah.
Logically speaking. And metaphorically.
Oh, man.
That's some deep shit.
That it's getting deep. I don't know if
so Texas conspiracy cows.
Cows. Okay, well, we didn't actually talk that much about riding the wave of COVID. And what do you guys think about like the politicization, if that's a word, of okay, never mind. Okay, so go ahead. Making politics with the concept of I don't know, like vaccines and bodily autonomy. Like there's really no reason. I mean, with decades of evidence, there's no reason that needs to be political.
I do find it a bit ironic that a certain subsect of the population is all about body autonomy, our bodies, ourselves and stuff when it comes to vaccines. But when it comes to abortion, yeah. Oh, well, that's not okay. But this is okay. Like, well, no, don't be a fucking hypocrite, man.
Hypocrite alert.
Yeah, like,
Are you sure, sir? It does mean changing the bulb.
yeah, like it's either okay to own yourself or you're a slave. Like, yeah,
I don't know if it's that black and white, but like,
well, I mean, I'm okay for effect.
yeah. I get what you mean, and that's interesting. Like, I don't know, you could almost take anything and make a big enough stink about it and turn it into something huge, a molehill to a mountain, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the vaccine was it. And who's to say they didn't plant what's her face, I can't even remember name, the porn star that started the whole autism from vaccines thing, Jenny
I don't know.
McCarthy. What is that
her?
Right? I don't know, but
Jenna,
I might have to look that up. For research purposes, of course.
Go take 5 minutes and look that up.
No, I'll need more than that.
no, what was her name? Damn it. You guys don't remember her? Like,
no.
What? That's where this all started. She was married to Jim Carrey. Yeah, like, freaking porn star was all of a sudden like, vaccines cause autism. My poor child is autistic, and all of a sudden, being autistic was a bad thing, and vaccines were a bad thing.
Think you're right. I think it was Jenny McCarthy.
It was, yeah. I
think you're right.
Jenny McCarthy. Yeah. I forget what my point was, but now we've figured it out. Jenny McCarthy. What a bitch.
Well, what about this though? I mean, so all of us grew up in like the late 70s, early 80s, whatever. Mm-hmm. We've all had polio vaccines. We've all had vaccines for, a variety of things. And then, as we
all had vaccines to go to school.
You had to have that stuff to go to school. Exactly. And so, now you have to have the COVID shot to go to school for my daughter who's 6. And, what the hell is wrong with people? Because that most of the lawmakers have all had the polio vaccines, and they've all had the other ones, and a variety of whatever else. Mm-hmm. Maybe some served in the military and had like a malaria shot or something else or whatever. But I mean, what is wrong with these people? Get the shot and don't get sick and don't spread the virus around, and just be a normal person of society and try to take care around the other people who you exist with, and just be good citizens.
Yeah. Here's the thing I struggled with as a scientist is, like, we came out with a mode of vaccine that is more efficient and more safe, and they've somehow turned it into more evil. And I'm like, the mRNA vaccine is fucking brilliant. We don't need to even entertain the idea of actually getting a reactivated form of a virus inside of our body. It's just a little chunk of RNA that cannot even penetrate where it would need to penetrate to give information to change anything about your body. Like, it is that safe.
We can't reprogram the bodies because Jeebus.
Yeah, like the amount of propaganda is so powerful that it completely took over and anally raped with no lubricant logic.
And it's so funny, all the anti-vaxxers who got sick and ended up in the hospital on ventilators
still think it's a hoax.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, flat earthers are still a thing.
Idiocracy really did come true. Like,
idiocracy?
There's a lot of fucking dumb people in there.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Like, I don't understand it. Okay.
How did we let this happen?
Huh?
How did we let this happen? Well, seriously,
we don't decide whether it happens. It just does. Like, people do people things.
That's what revolutions are for, like.
Well, but that's like a big picture kind of thing. When it comes to stuff like societal changes, those happen organically. I might have had a little bit of beer, so bear with me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I feel like we're approaching one of those epoch level events. I don't know, like where there's going to be a huge paradigm shift in the way things are.
You are correct. We are. That's on the horizon.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
we've got a couple of comments here about sheep following the herder, dollar signs, turning a blind eye to the little things. These are all good points about like the things that drive people, and all you got to do for propaganda is just throw some chum in that direction.
Yeah,
there's money over there, there's freedom over there,
or there's whatever we have told you to believe in is over there.
There's God over there. Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's God.
That guy.
Yeah.
George Burns.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all it takes. And like you have to challenge, like even our own media. You have to challenge the ideas that it's throwing at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how sure can you be of this? And there are things you can be sure of, right? Like you were saying earlier in this episode, I'd like to see the actual text. Well, that does exist.
Yeah, it does.
We can produce that. You can read it for yourself. You can interpret it. You'll probably interpret it the same way because it's pretty cut and dry. Mm-hmm. But it can still get brushed under the carpet by attaching it to some other like big ticket, sensationalist media scandal, right? Like, oh, we better, legislate for this and then attach a few things that you won't read.
Well, and I think it's really important to read those things and to comprehend them because.
But who has access to read those things? The everyday Joe, right?
People tend to read the headlines only too.
Right.
So that's a huge problem. Like people sit and watch a YouTube video or whatever, and they'll read the headlines, but they won't read like the actual documentation.
Yeah, nobody thinks about doing that. In fact, that's what really pisses me off about elections is that, so much money goes into campaigns, and it's like we should stop that and stop the lobbyists and then just like have like, I recycled mine because I voted already, but a voter's pamphlet and a ballot, and that's it. No signs, no campaigns, no TV commercials.
Okay, yes.
No that shit.
I totally agree.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Another episode idea.
Yes, definitely.
I've always said politics needs to be anonymous. Like it's just somebody's policy and you vote for that policy.
Yes. You shouldn't even know somebody's like
gender,
their
race,
political
anything.
alignment is. Just read their platform and actually fucking read it for a change.
Right.
Don't just check all the blue check marks or the red ones or something. No, read what everybody has to say and decide for yourself. Don't count how many signs are on the fucking road. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. That pisses me off too, because like, what is the environmental impact of all these campaign signs?
Garbage.
They're all over the place.
Way back in 2003, on that Altair album, this prolific lyricist said that majority is swayed by signs and lawns. Now it's too late to change your mind.
Ooh, yes. I know who that person is. I know them personally.
You met that person? What?
Yeah. But that's a good point. Like, people put all these signs out, and it's like, oh, it's a bunch of wood and cardboard or like corrugated plastic and stuff. It's like,
right.
What is the impact of that? Like, what, for just putting your name on the side of the road?
Well, look at Patty Murray here in Washington State. Whenever it's time for her to be up for election, and I'm a lefty, I don't like voting for her, but because I vote left, I have to vote for her because nobody else will go against her. But all she does is when it's time for election, it's, signs and Twitter posts and commercials and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Actually, you're not doing anything. You're just collecting a paycheck. And I think
yes, you are correct. She hasn't done shit. Like
term limits.
For people, I agree.
That was it.
And people think like, things are going to be, I did a minute microscopy about this recently, but people think like, if I don't vote for like my team, then the other team's going to just take over. It's like, well, why are there only two teams? Why is that the case? Right. Why is it like, you got the red team and the blue team, and those
we're constantly in the fucking like championship battle, right?
And they're all assholes. This is the thing. They're all assholes. None of them care about us at all. The only way we're going to solve problems is for us to solve them ourselves.
It's more about the game than it is living harmoniously. It's like, which team is going to win this time? Every fucking election is the Super Bowl.
It kind of is. Yeah. But yet, the thing is like, we're all dealing with human condition problems. And we all exist on spaceship Earth together, and we all have an interest in things working out. Like, why can't it be about that? Why can't it be about human beings working together to solve their common problems? Why does it have to be like, well, we're going to ignore the problems, all the stuff that plagues humankind, we're going to ignore that, toss that out the window. It's all about politics. It's all about the fucking sports ball game. Like, that's all that matters. And get people riled up and angry at each other so they can like focus on this game more than they focus on each other. Oh, fuck. Okay. Sorry.
I just noticed your shirt says Hi Mars. I thought all this time it said Hi Maps, and I was like, why is Eric wearing a marijuana dispensary?
It's a Hi Mars. Yeah. So the defender of Ukraine. Oh, yeah. So I guess I could. There.
No, it's all about the white people who works are in power. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The white people who have the power, who have the money, they don't give a shit about anybody else.
I don't know if I would like inject any kind of like melanin into it, but yeah, it's like the powers that be control everything, and they control it by controlling the narrative, by
actually that's a good point though. Like if you think about all the world leaders, like the ones that get painted in a bad light, tend to be not white, right?
Well, that depends on where you get your news.
The
Darfur, look that up. Yeah, and that's an interesting one. Yeah. And this is something that's like really important too, is like, why is nobody paying attention to some of the stuff that's happening? I mean, people are, you midterm elections and stuff. It's like, do you know what's going on in Iran right now? There is a fucking revolution happening. People are being arrested and tried. Like, they're rising up. Like, Iran might potentially be the awesome place it used to be back in the day.
Here's the thing though, like something you said earlier is like, you don't necessarily want to paint this as one side or the other, but what if that's the point of the conspiracy? What if that's the point of all the propaganda, is to get you to say like, oh, divisiveness is so terrible that We just need to ride the fence and let whatever is happening happen. And think that that's the righteous stance to have, when really that's all they need to just knock the fence over.
I get what you're saying. But the thing is, like, I'm kind of like a very small voice, a minority voice in a sea of tribalism.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Tribalism is bad, but
yeah,
my point stands. Like, there can be one person that tries to topple everything over.
Well, sure, but like,
and they usually die.
Okay. Myself, I don't sit on the fence. I'm active and involved in things. I eschew all political everything, and have decided, like, okay, I'm gonna take it upon myself to, like, change the world myself. I have no illusions that I'm gonna do anything by voting. I'm gonna do it myself. There are not many people like me. Most people are sheep. They're the kind of people who side with a particular team, and they play the game, and they rah with their team, and wave the flags and stuff like that. Okay, whatever, knock yourself out. That's not for me. I'm going to work under the radar, do my own thing, and try to change things on my own. I don't know that that's necessarily the game plan, because for the powers that be, because that would not benefit them. It benefits them to split people, to place people on opposite sides of a playing field, essentially. Pit people against each other, to paint the others as enemies, as opponents and stuff. Like, that's how you control people. You can't control me. Like, fuck you. Yeah, right. Like, that's not happening. But so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that adequately answered what you asked, Casey.
And he disappeared for a moment.
He did. Yeah, I think he has to take a leak.
That's okay.
Yeah,
that happens. We're humans.
Mm-hmm. With enough beer. Yeah. So we have a couple of comments too. So
yeah. So what do we have?
Let's see. We have. Let's see. Where's the purple team? Yeah, that's a good point.
Sorry, I thought your answer was bigger than my bladder at the moment.
I might have to
doing that.
I might have to join you. Oh, wait. That sounds weird.
Just don't cross the streams like we're kidding Ghostbusters.
So we have a comment. They were silent because there was no money in it. Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Also control too. Money only goes so far. Money is illusory. It's made up. It's
a religion.
It's a complete fabrication. Control is where it's at.
A true state of atheism or even agnosticism would not include an exchangeable economy, like a tangible, accountable sort of thing, right? Like, yeah, like if you feel like somebody helped you out and you want to repay them, you would do that, and that's it. Like, that's the extent of economy in nature, right?
I agree. Like, tit for tat kind of thing. Like, we do need a way of converting one product into another to be able to trade. Well, yeah, because if you don't want sheep and all I am is a herder, well, what can I sell you? So that I might have
something. We just have to talk about it. I really like that knickknack, and you're like, you know what? I just let it collect dust. Here you go. It's all about personal value. You don't have to quantify that.
Value is subjective, and I think
you shouldn't quantify that. You can't quantify that.
Well, no, you're correct. You can't.
I mean,
we
and
do
that's the
need a
point.
medium
Like,
of exchange, but
no, you
thing
don't.
is,
That's
like,
religious thinking.
who controls what people exchange?
You
That
don't
is the
have to
question.
control it.
No, you
That's
don't.
my point.
You're correct. But people feel like if somebody doesn't control it, it will be out of control. Which
Like
I
bad-
think, well, that's kind of my anarchistic dream. Yeah. So, okay, wait. There's more comments.
Are we human or are we dancers?
Ooh.
Oh, no, that's.
I can't dance, so I'm gonna say
I can't
human.
dance either. Maybe that's why I'm not so great at life. But
Yeah.
I can't either. Wait, now there's that Phil Collins song that's coming to mind. Oh man.
Or David Bowie. Let's dance.
Oh yeah.
I've done that at karaoke.
Love me some Bowie. Yeah.
Texas Nazis to David Bowie to oh my gosh, what a night.
Is COVID a no-go on YouTube? Yes.
But also no. Like we
Yeah.
don't get restricted. We just have that little warning label, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't. So, like.
And I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings about the label being a link to Wikipedia.
It's so funny. You used to be such an avid defender of Wikipedia, and now I feel we've flipped stances on that. Like I used to be really skeptical of it, but now, like having tried to change something myself, how difficult it's at least how difficult it's become. Maybe at one point
I've had
our
that problem
stances
too.
were pretty legit, right? But
I kind of agree. Like, I mean, I'm not like a complete hater of Wikipedia. I think, well, I like the principle. The execution could use a little bit of work, but yeah, like honestly, if I had to quickly look something up, I would trust Wikipedia above any media source.
But give me some money.
yeah.
Well,
and one of our earliest guests way back in season 1, Professor Doug Wacker, when he was my professor, I remember him telling a story about how he changed Wikipedia for a period of more than 24 hours, maybe even more than 48 hours, where the sky was officially orange. So it really all depends on when you're looking through what lens,
and what you're editing too. Something that nobody's looking at, if you're talking about like really obscure kind of stuff, you're not going to have as much vetting from the Wikipedia community, but it does a pretty good job of fixing flaws and recovering from errors. Like,
even that gets guided by subjectivity at some level, though.
Well, it does, and maybe things get too governmental, where it gets too big. It's no longer like Craigslist, like it's a community built system. Now it's a bureaucracy. And at that point, well, it's irrelevant. Like you might as well not even go there. I
think everything, even at a physics level, is subject to subjectivity. Like there is a point where we have to, however far you whittle it down, we have to accept something on faith. I don't know that quarks exist because I've never been at the pay grade to look through the level of microscope you need to prove to yourself with your own eyes that they exist.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like
I take that on faith.
Or like planets or the moon or something like that. Yeah. Okay. The thing is, like, I haven't personally gone to the moon or to Mars or something, but I know Mars exists and the moon does. And I know that humans set foot on the moon.
Yet you won't say that you for sure exist.
Well, yeah, okay, yes. Ultimately, all this could be a simulation, and it's actually kind of likely. Interestingly, yeah.
I want to make a joke about Uranus right now, but I won't.
Oh man,
we don't want to get into hairy territory.
No, we don't.
Ooh.
Oh my god, this is actually a really
now Randy gets the dad joke.
Yeah.
So Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Texas is an interesting beast, though, isn't it? Like, there's a marked difference. And as Aron Ra pointed out, they were at one point their own country, and they'd still like to be.
They do some people in Texas do consider themselves to be like their own republic.
They can be that as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and actually that brings up an interesting point. Like, what if the solution to all of the woes of the US, you know, as huge and diverse as this country is, what if the solution is just like balkanization? Why can't we just coexist as neighbors, and maybe neighbors that, yeah, you know, you might not like Idaho or Oregon or something like that, or you know, Eastern Washington or Western Washington, but we can still work together, right? Like, why does it have to be under this like federal umbrella? Yeah. Oh shit, I'm like speaking heresy now. But I think it would go a long way to bringing peace amongst people, where none of the political shit matters, and it's more about like, hey, you know, you got stuff I want, you got a bunch of potatoes, and I've got a bunch of sheep or something like that, and we trade with each other, and life is good, right? Like, we don't have to go to war, we don't have to yell at each other. Wouldn't that be nice?
We got a comment here that says, since we haven't created the next level of the simulation, then we have to be the first level or the deepest level, and chances are unlikely for both. Well, we have, though, created simulation. Over 20 years ago, The Sims was a thing.
Oh, that game. Oh my gosh. I played that. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, there are such rudimentary levels of simulations in this universe as we perceive it that we don't realize what we may have created.
And the thing is, like, from the standpoint of simulation theory, the story goes that, you know, we're creating ever more realistic simulations, and we're actually kind of noobs at all this. So imagine what things would look like 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now. Would, you know, like, it'd be indistinguishable from reality. So it could be real. And I don't think this is the first level from a simulation theory standpoint. No. This could be a simulation within a simulation within a simulation. Like, this might be tier 10 or something like that of a simulation. How? Okay, and here's the thing. If you don't believe this, or do believe it, like, how can you definitively prove, how can you test to see whether this is a simulation or not?
It's the same question as proving God.
It is. And maybe that does kind of suggest that a God of sorts could exist. Not that we need.
Depends on your definition.
Well, or a master gamer.
it is kind of ridiculous to think that, like, that, well, there must be an authoritarian overlord overseeing all this, otherwise it couldn't exist. No, human beings are very good at self-organizing and figuring things out on their own. We don't need a god, we don't need a ruler, we don't need anybody telling us what to do, huh?
Unless you're from South Carolina.
Well,
I was saying to a point we can organize, but
to a point, yeah,
it does break down somewhere.
When?
Well, you can't really draw that line, can you? And that's what makes
you just said, like, it breaks down. So where
line.
Does it break down?
Any difference in opinion could be seen as a breakdown at that level.
Differences of opinion don't necessarily break a simulation.
It could make a simulation. For, like, the line we draw between video game and reality is one of these such walls, right?
Yeah.
That we decide, here it's a video game, there it's a real person with a personality and experiences of their own and perspective of their own. Well, how do I know you have perspective of your own versus a video game sprite?
That's a really good point. How do I know you or me we're not NPCs in some kind of video game?
Computer and program.
I wish. That would be awesome.
Well, like Microsoft Flight Sim does, like, real world simulations where you're flying a plane and you've got the territory and the terrain and the airspace and all that stuff, and it's like you're really freaking there.
Wow.
To a point, but it's not the same as flying the real plane. But I mean, there comes a point where it's like it's so accurate.
What's the practical difference?
Right, exactly.
Which kind of raises the question, like,
I guess crashing is the practical difference there.
How would you be able to tell that you're in a simulation or not? What is the test you could perform to determine if this is a reality or not?
Yeah,
that is the thing.
Just super high right now, and all this seems real.
Well, even if you're not, like, how would you know if it's real or not? What test could you perform to test the simulation, essentially? I don't think there is one. And in that, maybe this is. And, maybe that's okay. It's okay if this is a simulation. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, it's a simulation, and look, well, that things don't matter. Like, well, it actually does matter. Wow. Like, in a video game, it matters whether you live or die. Points matter in the video game world.
Not on whose line you're curious as the points don't matter.
Yes. Well, they don't, but in the context of a simulated world, it might. And it depends.
Think about the episodes of Star Trek where they're on the holodeck and something goes wrong and they say computer end program and nothing happens. Yeah. What if that's all we're doing? Life gets so shitty and we make a joke, computer end program, and it should work, but it doesn't.
Should work, yeah.
How do we know? Are we just stuck here forever?
Well, I'm gonna pose the question. How would
I don't know if I'll be able to sleep tonight.
How would you be able to definitively prove that this is real or not? Like, what test could you perform that would show 100% that you're here in reality? I've struggled with this, and
if I break this bottle right now and slit my throat, I'll wake up tomorrow.
It's all part of the simulation. Like,
I'll drive over and pinch you.
But that's part of simulation too. The physics is all built within the physics of the simulation, like the Sims and stuff, all programmatical stuff. When like you get into quantum physics and stuff, you start like questioning things. I
feel like that's a God works in mysterious ways argument, though.
Well, okay,
like
sure, but okay,
you got to go with the more probable.
Okay, fine, sure, but then tell me what test you would perform to prove that this is reality.
I don't have to.
Not.
The onus is on you to prove that it's not real. It's the exact same argument that atheists give to religious people. Like, it's not my responsibility.
Well, no, I don't care what you believe. I'm just saying, like, if you want to prove to yourself if you are real or not.
I don't feel the need to.
Okay, well, fine. But this is something I think about myself. Like, hey, how could I test for this? Like, what kind of operation could I perform to find out if this is reality or not? Like,
a
honestly,
hysterectomy?
Huh?
A hysterectomy?
Oh, well, yeah, that would be interesting.
You know, the sweaty computer engineer is my God, and he created this simulation that I live in.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides if my program will be good or not.
Honestly, I don't believe in a God. But I don't know that what we're living in is real, because I can't definitively prove
what's real,
that it's real to myself, huh?
Like, define real.
Like Gen 1, the top level of our existence.
Well, then you got to define our existence, because that could be true and it could still be a simulation.
Does Vic Fontaine live in your other bedroom?
What's that?
Does Vic Fontaine live in your other bedroom?
No. Okay. At least as far as I know. Yeah.
You know who that is?
Not sure, but I know
Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The holosuite crooner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's a good point. Like, you can't say for sure whether or not he exists on a holodeck in a TV show, or if he exists in your other room.
Well, sure, but that isn't like whether this particular individual exists in my house or not is not a true test of whether this is reality or not.
But the dichotomy is kind of the same. Like, it's one absurd thing or another. Like, you can't really.
But isn't everything absurd?
I'm out of beer, though.
Oh,
look at my wallpaper. It's absurd.
It is, yes. It is actually awesome. Yeah, I love it. Oh, wait, we have comments. Let's see. The 13th floor. A simulation.
Is that a horror movie, or I think that's something else?
In Japan,
they
don't have a fourth floor, because the fourth floor, the number 4 is she, which is the same sound as the word to die. So you'll never find a fourth floor.
Fourth floor?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, fourth floor.
Say that again?
In Japan, you will not find a fourth floor in a building, because number 4 sounds like the same word for death, which is she.
Oh, okay. So kind of like we don't do the 13th floor,
right?
Because of a superstition of luck.
Exactly. Yeah, same thing.
They associate it with death. That's interesting. Wow.
It's just a different number.
I love shit like that. Like, I love talking about how different cultures view and value different things, to the point where they have entire superstitions built around them. Like, that's
happy late Halloween.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is like really, I don't know, like deep study into the stuff that we often just kind of ignore as inconsequential, or
because we're Americans and we don't care and we don't pay attention. And
yeah, I mean,
we're all
Speak
like,
for yourself, man.
I was having a great conversation with my girlfriend today about German words that have absolutely no translation in English, nothing even close.
Try me.
Yet we can still understand the concept. But like our culture doesn't feel the need to shorten it down to a word. You know, like time witness was the one we were discussing. And it basically means somebody who maybe lived through World War II. You know, like there's a huge event that they were alive to see, and that person is a time witness. And that's a thing in Germany. It is not even remotely a thing here.
Yeah.
If we want to refer to that, if it's even contextual to the narrative, we just say a person who was alive during World War II saw this thing. And they have a fucking word for it.
That's
so cool.
It is. Oh, we have more comments, by the way.
13th Floor is a movie about simulation.
So the follow-up comment: a simulation would give you what you want. The real world gives you nothing but what you earn. Yeah, that's interesting. Thought-provoking.
Well,
Thanks,
I mean,
Ted Cruz.
in a video game, you can't just have everything you want. You need cheat codes for that. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to work for what you want in a video game too.
Well, and here, okay, so I'm going to inject my own philosophy into this about simulation theory. That
we have an whole episode about this. Wait, I don't know if I can. This is a live stream.
Oh yeah.
Go find it yourselves. Jeez.
Yeah.
I can't do everything for you. Wipe your own ass.
If you play on God mode, yeah, you will be invincible. You will be indestructible. But is that really a good way to play the game? Like, are you a badass in the game if you play on God mode? Because everybody can type IDDQD and go through Doom front to back without any opposition. But if you start with nothing, yeah.
Playing simulation games like so I'm a big fan of Sid Meier's Colonization. It's an old school game before civilization. I still have it. I still play it.
It's a good game.
Machine that's very old, and I very much enjoy it. And that kind of brings me to a set of lyrics from the song from MASH, the movie, which is
Suicide is painless.
Well, yeah, but it's a little bit later on. It's like
that's the MASH theme song. So
oh,
different.
Yeah.
The game of life is hard to play. I'm gonna lose it anyway. The losing hand I'll someday play, and I think the rest I forget, but it goes along with da, 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 da,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you watch that or put it on YouTube or something, you can hear the lyrics on there. But it's like, so yeah, the game of life is hard to play. So why cheat?
Well, yeah, because if a lot of people play the game for bragging rights, essentially. So if you're playing the game and you're cheating, if you're IDDQDing your way through it, well, everybody can do that. Anybody can do that. What makes you cool is somebody who doesn't have all those extra special one-ups and things.
I have it here. The game of life is hard to play. I'm gonna lose it anyway. The losing card I'll someday lay. So this is all I have to say.
Hey, that's life.
Yep.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
So
you say what you're gonna say, and you can't get it all out.
Mhm.
You know, we might all have the answer buried within us.
I think okay. I don't think, I know we do. But saying certain things is problematic.
I mean, being an atheist, and this confuses the shit out of people. I consider myself spiritual.
Mhm.
There are things I can't explain, nor do I care to. Like there's a level where you have to say, I don't need to know how this works. It just does, right? And anything you break down far enough, there comes a point where you say, you know what, I don't need to know how it works. It just does. It's consistent enough in this capacity. And that's all perspective thing, right? And that's about as close as I get to the concept of God, is randomness, I guess.
Which, that's actually a pretty good description of God.
Yeah. I mean, really, that's all it is.
Yeah.
God works in mysterious ways is no other way than saying, oh, fuck it. It's random.
Huh. That is fucking brilliant. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's a bumper sticker I would have. God works in mysterious ways, even though I'm an atheist, because that's really all it's saying.
Mhm.
Shit's random.
Yeah, and
I don't even know what I'm going to do 2 seconds from now. It's that random.
Mhm.
you're going to make a comment.
Yes, I never do shut up, do I?
See,
Mhm.
I won. Do we have more
Randy
questions?
is God. Oh.
I've got a hard stop coming up pretty soon. So do we have any more questions or?
Yeah, there's a few more. I've got to take a piss. So yeah.
That's a comment?
Oh no, that's my own thing. Humanity needs conflict. I agree.
Yeah.
I think being too complacent makes, like,
Complacency
Conflict
kills.
is excitement.
yeah, like the conflict, the strife, the struggle is what brings out the best in humanity, and the worst too.
Mhm.
Like we yeah, I don't know.
Like how we started talking, Republicans and Democrats, it's like
Mhm.
teams. And
Yeah.
all in all, that's not that great. But when there's something like near and dear to your heart and there's a huge force that backs that, that's a good thing for you.
Mhm.
So it really is all perspective.
Yeah.
So there will always be conflict.
Well, and I think the conflict is something that drives humanity. Like, we are evolutionary beings. When we're faced with insurmountable odds and difficult situations and tall hills that we have to overcome, we find a way. And oftentimes, unlikely partners are part of that equation. Yeah. So, I
I
Explain
kind of want to
Mongolian.
issue a challenge to people to replace the word God with randomness. You know,
Ooh.
say
Oh.
randomness decided not to answer my prayers today.
Oh man. Wow.
I was saying a
Randomness
second ago.
showed grace upon me.
I was going to say, explain the Mongolians.
Mm. Well, you know, Mongolia will be soon part of southern Russia. So, yeah, explain that.
Wasn't it always a little bit ambiguous, though?
Well, yeah, but
Because there's like Russia's the only country that occupies two different continents. So, like,
well, but they only occupy it because they're so big already. They're like,
right.
This is the thing.
That's the randomness of borders, you know. Like I always thought, like it's more racist to say Asian than Oriental because it's broader strokes.
Yeah,
Russians are Asians, depending on which Russian you're talking about.
Well, especially considering like 80% of Russia is fucking Asia. You know,
Yeah.
so there is that to contend with.
Even though most of that population is Yeti.
Yes, true. Okay. Oh man.
Now our feed gets cut again by the Yeti overlords.
So let's see. We have a follow-up comment to humanity needs conflict only if the person running the simulation is exactly like you.
Well, I think we needed that in the context of the moment.
Well, I tried to provide context by providing the previous comment.
I see. Humanity needs conflict only if the person running the simulation is exactly like you. Oh, okay.
But
yes,
the thing is, like, it's pretty clear. Anybody who plays video games, like, nobody cares what you look like IRL. Like, they care about your character and your you know, the avatar that you have and stuff. Like, nobody really cares what you look like, and maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a turning point. Like, we might be hitting a point where looks don't matter. You're
back in 2004, I overheard two girls saying they're voting for Bush because he was cuter than Kerry.
Okay, well, I mean, I can give him that. But that's not. That is not a reason to vote. It's
just wrong to vote that way.
Yeah.
Kerry's obviously cuter than Bush.
Yeah. Oh. Oh man.
That was a joke, people. Don't vote either of those ways.
Yes. Can we not? Can we have something else? Well, to quote Monty Python, is there someone else up there we can talk to?
Every sperm is sacred.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'll go fetch my holy hand grenade.
The holy hand grenade of Antioch. First,
I got to split in a minute here, so we got another question or two, or
let's see. The 13th Floor is a movie about simulation. That's not what I meant. I was talking about having everything you want. So yeah,
and now they're going to sleep, so maybe we should too.
Well, I think it's probably time to bid everybody adieu. Farewell.
Yes. Yeah. We've rambled on long enough for a Tuesday night. We should let our guest get his little one to bed while we get our own little ones to bed.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of ground.
We did. Absolutely.
Oh my God.
As usual.
Like
really
driving a tank.
awesome. Oh.
I don't even know that we really like formulated a coherent conspiracy, but maybe that's the recipe. Maybe you leave it to other people to put the pieces together.
Open source kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm all behind that. And maybe we can come back to this too. Like, we'll come back to it.
I'd like
Give
to,
it a minute to brew and stuff, and
Mhm.
we'll come back. And
Aron
talk
Ra,
about
come
it
on the
again.
show. Give us your
Oh my God, yeah.
atheist
Well,
satanic perspective.
if you get him on the show, I will be here.
We'll try.
We got some fanboying going on here.
I'll be dressed up.
All right. Well, we have no song for you because this is live in person on your computer or phone screen. So not really in person. Not like my 40th birthday.
Thanks for sticking it out with us and injecting your comments. Very, very helpful.
Giggity.
Oh man. Well, on that note, I guess it's probably time to say goodnight.
Donkey Kong. Catch you later.
All right.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.